We are going to get started with our lunchtime conversation. It looks like everybody's enjoying lunch. So thank you to our caterers for that. Okay. So this panel is our future producers panel. And in conversations that I had been having with some folks at different water conferences throughout the state, one of the things that came up was we often don't get an opportunity to hear from really the rising generation. And if you look around the room, you tend to see a certain kind of age demographic here. I'm not pointing any fingers, but it's really important that we make this a space, conversations, a place for younger people to be involved, and a place where they realize, hey, you know what, there's some cool conversations happening. I'd really like to be a part of this. Or, you know, I think this is something where I'd like to pursue a potential career. So in that, I talked with Bethany and Robert, and I'm going to introduce them here shortly, about convening, again, this panel with some students from Adams State, students who are involved in the Ag Business Club or the Ag Business major. And they're going to share a little bit with some questions that Robert and Bethany have prepared of some of their perspectives. What are some of the things that they're thinking about? What are they concerned about as they consider career in agriculture? Okay, so I'm gonna pull up my notes for their bios. So Bethany Howell is the Director of Strategic Outreach and Engagement for the Colorado Department of Agriculture. In this role, she works closely with the Commissioner of Agriculture, CDA staff in all divisions, other state agencies, and external organizations to support, increase understanding, and engage with agricultural communities across Colorado. Before her state service, Bethany led the Rio Grande Water Conservation and Education Initiative for 5 years as the executive director. This nonprofit offers K-12 education programming on watershed and soil health issues with a focus on agriculture. She also previously served as the Rio Grande Basin's Roundtable's Public Education Participation and Outreach Liaison, and as chair from 2016 and 21. Bethany was born in Hugo, Colorado, but raised in Central Texas on her family's 150-year-old heritage ranch. As a seventh-generation agriculturalist, she helped raise turkeys, sheep, cattle, and chickens on the ranch, lambs and turkeys as an active participant of 4-H and FFA. She's a graduate of Hardin-Simons University in Abilene, where she received Bachelor of Arts and Master of Arts degrees in English. So good to have you here, Bethany. And Robert Sakata. He's a farmer, and that's just pretty much what he wanted to share. That's it. So there we go.
Thanks. Bethany, were you going to kick us off?
I don't know if this.
It's on.
Is it on? Oh, okay. Oh, that's classic Robert. Okay, well, let's see. Well, no, thank you so much. I'm glad that I got the formal introduction and Robert got to kind of squeak through. So please ask him any questions after this that you'd like to about his education and background, which is quite extensive.
I always tell people, though, I got a BS from my dad.
That's good.
Bob Sakata.
Well, I will say that it's funny that an English degree is a BA because it should really be a BS degree. But no, I'm really happy to work with Robert at the Colorado Department of Agriculture. I have lived in the San Luis Valley for almost 12 years now. So I just said that, you know, I was born in Colorado. It took me 30 years to get back here. And so I was very happy to raise both of my kids in the San Luis Valley. We make our home in Del Norte, so just up the road a little ways. So at CDA, I just want to kind of preface and kick off this panel with one of our departmental priorities, which we have departmental priorities that we come up with every year, but they tend to kind of stay the same and just shift a little bit. But one that we have really worked on for the last several years with Commissioner Kate Greenberg as our leader has been supporting and developing the next generation of ag producers, whether that is people who are just starting out in ag as young people who may be inheriting from their families or beginning farmers and ranchers, whatever that might look like for them. So that is something that we take really seriously at the department. And so one of the things that I think is great about having a panel like this one is having the opportunity to stop for a bit. Generations, we've been doing this for so long. Take a minute to listen. Generations are going to be impacted by the decisions that we have been making for the past several decades, that we're making right now, that we're not going to see the impacts of in the next 30 to 40 to 50 years, depending on your age right now. But they will see those impacts, and their grandchildren will see those impacts. And so taking a space to listen to what it is that they're concerned about, the opportunities that they see, really great advantage to learn from other generations as well, and not to feel like we have all of the answers or that we are the only ones who can solve the problem. So that's what I just wanted to preface that with, and then I'll turn it over to you, Robert.
Thanks, Bethany. Well, thanks, Paul, very much for allowing us to have this panel, and thanks for a great conference. It's amazing. Like I said, it's amazing the program you put together, and really appreciate it. And then also, why don't we give a round of applause to people that provided the food today? Great, great lunch. You know, often as a farmer, I feel like I'm working behind the scenes and nobody really knows. And I think on the food service side, that's often the case is, you know, you don't see those people actually working so hard putting the food together for us. But speaking of farmers and ranchers, raise your hand if you're actively farming and ranching. Great, that's a good percentage. Let's give them a hand for what they do. Providing us food and fiber is so important, and that's why I feel very fortunate to be working at the Department of Ag. And Paul, I am getting old, I know, so I feel like I has been now. Thank you for making me feel that way. But it is really exciting, and it's really exciting to be here and be a voice for agriculture as we talk about the important issues of water. This is a picture of me planting onions on our farm up in Brighton. And I don't know whether I'd like to give your guys' opinion on this. Greg Felt, Commissioner Greg Felt, or former commissioner of Chaffee County, Greg Felt, was a fishing guide. And, you know, as he learned more about farming and I explained to him about farming, he goes, wow, farming is a lot like fishing, right? It's that occupation of hope. You're putting a lot of investments in hoping that you'll catch something, right? And I think that's so true about farming. So I want to kind of hear that in your responses too about that concept of hope. What makes you think about that you want to be engaged in some agricultural entity because of that hope? But not to be a downer, and I know this morning was kind of a downer, is that this is the USDA Ag Census data that indicates in Colorado over the last 25-year reporting period from the Ag Census, this is the decline in irrigated acres across Colorado. This is the entire state of Colorado. So this is kind of the challenges that we're facing. And I think what's mentioned in the economic study too, this is the Division of Water Resources data. And so you can see the Rio Grande Valley is one of the higher percentages of the decline of irrigated acres at 37%. Now this is just snapshots in time. So especially on the west slope, some of these figures, it could be irrigated pastures where they've just dried it up for one season because they didn't have the snowpack and then re-irrigated the next season. As we know, in row crop production, that's not as easy to do. It's a little bit more difficult to do fallowing, or in orchard production. Of course, you can't necessarily fallow an orchard, right? So as we think about this, I guess first I missed the very most important part, right? And you should have flagged me down. I'm getting old in my old age. Is really we want to have introductions. So why don't we all of them a round of applause for taking this time to be here. So first off, I want like all of you to introduce yourselves, kind of give us a little bit about your background and maybe what you're studying here. And also, I told you I was going to have a trick question in there. I just want you to tell us some favorite thing that you have. It could be a favorite person, a favorite food. What is your favorite thing? We'll start off with you.
My name is Laylah Casto. I'm a 7th generation Colorado cattle rancher on the western slope of Colorado. My family is in Gateway, just south of Grand Junction a little ways. I'm studying ag business here at Adams State. And what was the last question?
Favorite, something favorite.
Oh, I really, really, really love my F-350. It is.
My name is Stefanie Lopez. I'm from Monte Vista. I'm studying ag business here at Adams State. My background, my father works for the USDA. He's a fruit and vegetable inspector basically in Monte Vista. And my favorite food is tacos.
Howdy, my name's Zach Sandoval. I'm a student here at Adams. My major is in business administration and emphasis in management. I'm a third generation agriculturist. I grew up in the valley, just 20 miles south of here in Manassas, Colorado. Raised cattle on a cow-calf operation with my dad. Do that in the summers. Our time includes growing crops for hay consumption like alfalfa, oats, and yeah, I love what I do. I want to advocate for agriculture, and I'm here to preserve the lifestyle for it. And I did all this while being put in a young leadership role. My parents were born deaf, so sign language is the first language of mine. So definitely it can get interesting, being at the sale barn trying to sign and not making bids at the same time. But I love it. So thank you. Oh. My favorite things probably I enjoy playing the guitar.
Well, those are great favorites. I appreciate that. So getting to the question about talking about the reduction of irrigated agriculture and the challenges that we heard this morning about limited water, how is that impacting your decision? It sounds like most of you are studying ag business. How does that impact what you're looking to do and your future? We'll start with you, Zach. I think you've got the microphone there.
Just expecting what's to come, I know with it's unpredictable weather around here, it's hard to manage, what to expect. It's kind of like you're saying, fishing, it's a hope of what we're going to get. And just I'm concerned for the future, how we're going to handle these things. Community involvement and outreach is really big to me. How are we going to keep making profits, with less irrigated acres and keeping that in mind, and how we're going to preserve, our aquifers and water around the valley.
It was interesting. There's one session just right before this that you guys talked about the value of water in the basin. I wanted to come visit with you guys later because as I've traveled the state and I've gotten to go down to Crowley County and you see some of the ghost towns there, this empty buildings now that they don't have water. How do you put a value on that, right? So I think your point about community involvement is so important. As a community, what do you want to see, right, moving forward?
Yeah, as a community, I like to see all the farmers and ranchers come together and actually make a plan to reduce groundwater to save. So there's to stop an allocation, cut everybody's groundwater. And we don't want that happening.
Yeah, you're facing some tough challenges here, and we're all so competitive.
Yeah,
right? As agricultural producers, we seem like we're so competitive.
Yeah. And dealing with competitive land prices is pretty big around the valley. Now with population growth and coming in, everything's getting so expensive. So just being prepared to handle that. And
somebody once told me that they said this to me recently, that they feel like farmers and ranchers should be the next endangered species.
I think just being so young and not knowing what can happen in the future and not being able to predict how like our water is going to be in the future is hard to know how you want to like put yourself into a career without knowing how you're going to be able to face problems in the future. And I just think it's just difficult to face, I guess.
Actually, it sounds scary.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, I never thought about that from your perspective about trying to plan your future, and yet there's so many unknowns about what the water future is going to be.
Yeah.
And so do you feel kind of helpless in this situation?
Yeah, I feel like just like I said, we can't ever predict what the future is going to be like, and so you just don't know how things are going to go.
Right. Yeah. That's got to be tough.
Will you say my question again?
Yeah, so the question is just kind of about with the loss of irrigated acres and the unknown about the water, how is that impacting what you think you may be doing in the future?
Could you say it different for me?
Yeah, so just how is what when you're looking to what you're going to want to do in the future,
Right.
what's impacting that decision? I mean, you know, agriculture is in this really tough spot right now. A lot of pressures on agriculture.
In terms of water?
Yeah, or in terms of anything, anything about your operation, your family's operation, or
Well, if we don't have the water, you can't grow crops.
Yeah.
If you can't grow the crops, you can't raise your cows. If you can't raise your cows, people aren't gonna be getting fed. And it goes for all around with all your crops and all your animals.
do you think the general public realizes that?
No.
I like this girl. Straight answers, quick to the point. So what do you think is there things that we can do to help exchange knowledge with the public about what you're doing on your ranch?
Well, like I know Adams State Ag Club is like something that does that. It gets kids around and takes them places. Like we went to Denver for state, talked about some issues that we have in agriculture there and stuff like that. And so I think getting people out to share their stories and like, hey,
Cool.
this is what's going on.
Right.
This is how it goes. This is really what's really happening. I do it for a living.
Right.
They can maybe be like, hey, okay, like, and start paying attention to what's happening. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
So tell me more about the ag club. I didn't know you had an ag club here.
Well, Adams State has an ag club. It would be, I'm a freshman, so it's my first year being in it. And we went to state. I didn't go to nationals with them, but the ag club, I'm not as involved in it, I won't lie to you, as I should be, or as I was, but it has offered me so many opportunities in this valley and to be able to grow to be what I want to be and do what I want to do with like my cattle and my family's operation. Like I really love that it was there like a, hey, I can help you do whatever it is that you want to do in an agricultural aspect. And then they help you do it and you go with it. And it's a team. We all come together. Zach's on there. You want to talk back?
Nice job.
Definitely being part of ag clubs, led me to opportunities to meet some great individuals. Like I met Robert at the Trinidad Leadership Conference for YFNR, Young Farmers and Ranchers. So definitely it's great networking opportunities to meet some of those like-minded individuals. We had a lot of fun. Nationals, we went on several tours. You get to explore facilities and check out just actually bringing someone that doesn't know anything about ag, there's bring them into that culture and explain to them how a process works and getting them involved. It's pretty big.
Yeah, obviously you're feeling a lot of passion, which I think makes me feel really positive about some things in the future. Again, we have talked about some kind of depressing things this morning, but I'd like to hear from you all about things. We've got all of these pressures that are coming from the outside into rural areas. It's not just, you mentioned Crowley County, it's not just the valley, but, urban areas that are looking for more water and they're looking at ag as maybe the easiest way to get that. And, we've got a huge number of people who are coming to the valley to recreate. They're using water. So how are you feeling about the state, I guess, of agriculture in general? What are we doing right? Like, what makes you feel positive? What direction are we going in that makes you feel like we're gonna get there for you? Like, what, I guess, basically, what makes you feel good about agriculture right now?
Yeah, so as Colorado, the population increases, and there's challenges and opportunities that provides for us. There's going to be more demand for water in urbanized areas, so we have to be aware of that. And having conservation easements to protect the water for just agricultural use only is very important. And just competitive land prices with everyone moving in, that makes it hard. But there's also a lot of opportunities that I see that, and with agritourism, bringing local communities into the ranch, doing a tour of your operation, or having the pumpkin patch or corn maze involved, wagon rides. So get community, as well as like farm to table workshops, make your own cheese, bread, and having those opportunities for the community to come by. And it also provides financial stability for farmer or rancher. Yeah, it's also, it's just a good time for sure. Bring everyone, yeah.
Behind you on the slide, this is actually from the state demographer's office. They really do a great job of illustrating the data that they're collecting. So these are the counties in Colorado during 1870. And the size of the pie indicates the percentage of the population. So you can see, and the blue are the San Luis Valley. So that was the portion of the population in 1870, and the green is the Front Range. So that includes Colorado Springs and Pueblo. So it's all the eastern slope. Now I'm going to animate this, and you're going to see over time what happens, the population change. And so that's the challenge I think that we're facing. Watch as the blue disappears, right? The percentage of population, and yet how much the green has increased over time. And it continues to be that. So agriculture, your way of life here in the valley, the lower Arkansas Valley, is really feeling the pressure for the water that is needed to support this municipal industrial growth. I really suggest if go to the state demographer's office. They really have some cool information there. Sorry. You were trying to do hope and happiness. Huh? Stefanie, can you bring us back up and what's good?
Something that makes me feel like somewhat, I guess, good about ag is just basically that I guess it's just such a big theme here in the valley, and growing up here, I feel like it encourages a lot of people to want to go into like the ag industry, I guess. I guess it's just with like future generations growing up, I feel like it's a good encouragement. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I love all agriculture and I deal with it every day, so I love all of that. But what makes me feel good about it right now in an aspect here, I guess you'd say, like, it's gonna sound a little crazy, but I like how it's starting to be trendy. Like, there's a lot of people making clothes that are like punchy and ranchy, and there's stickers and stuff. And as much as it's annoying to have, I'm sure some of you would know, to have like city people walk around like, yeah, I'm country. Yeah, even though that's like, even though that's can be annoying at times, they're putting some kind of something into agriculture or somewhere along the lines of what we're doing, and I kind of like that aspect about it. And I like that. Well, I grew up in Gateway, and if you don't know Gateway, which most don't, it is a very, very, very tiny town. It is smaller than Saguache. There's not very many people, not a lot there, and I grew up there and I lived there, and it's just the same people, and most of them are my family for the majority of my life. I went to high school in Palisade, and that opened up some opportunities to me in like the growing fruits kind of aspect and stuff. And then, but oh, what was it? I'm gonna lose it. Oh, when I got down here, I'm sorry, it made it there. I got to be, in a way, I was around more of an agricultural aspect, especially with being in the ag club. And I've started to come to like state for ag club, and I came to like this too. And being able to see that there's other people out there wanting to save it and make it happen, and other people my age that are feeling the same way I am, I feel good about that.
That's fantastic. I feel better about that too now. But I think I'm going to make that t-shirt. I think we need to make ag trendy, right? It is, because like I said before, when we started, I think people have in the past have taken for granted, right, where our food comes from. And why do you think ag is trendy? Because it's fun. Exactly. It looks cool.
The work we do, it's so rewarding, and it's beautiful around here. It's God's country around here, and I think that a lot of people love that sort of look at that lifestyle. So that's what makes ag so great around.
Yeah, I like that message that you're carrying forward. I think that's one that we really need to carry forward in the public. You're right. All those long hours and long days working on the farm, that doesn't get you down. You still feel rewarded by it.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta look optimistic when things are looking down.
That occupation of hope, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. So I know this is off the cuff. So where do you hope to see yourself in 20 or 50 years?
Yeah,
That's a long time, I know.
it is a long time. I know. Definitely hope to, have some kids helping me on the ranch, doing that, split up the labor wise. But
There is a labor shortage.
yeah, there's a labor shortage for sure. But just taking over my dad's cow-calf operation, preserving his ranch and the rich history of all of that, I find that very important to me. So that's where I see myself.
I see myself, hopefully, obviously pursuing something in ag, but maybe following somewhat in my dad's footsteps and just keeping up with how I was raised and taught to be like successful in life.
I think that's a message I'd like to see us carry forward through the educational system. Is there's so many important careers to support us farmers and ranchers, whether it's a fruit and vegetable inspector, whether it's crop advisors. I mean, with seeing the new technology that's going on, I don't know if you guys are using rotational grazing now. It's just incredible. And so we really need a lot of that support. And I think a lot of the students coming up need to know about those career opportunities.
I also think, being an advocate for your local water boards, being active in your farm bureau, being a part of that, because we need someone to advocate for agriculture, especially, federal government levels.
So that's a question that we get a lot, is how do we get more young people involved in boards, and what would make you all feel more comfortable getting involved in those?
I know the average age of the farmer ranchers, it's up there, we're definitely older, work. But I think just making the younger people feel included going into these events, like going to your local water board meetings and having them feel welcome, that they're there to learn about these opportunities that they wouldn't know that could help their small operation, grow from there. Pizza and beer, that'll work. Yeah.
Will you?
What would make you feel more included, like more likely to try to be involved in boards or groups?
Yeah, I guess probably bouncing right off what Zach said, feeling included when you're there. You don't want to just have everybody walking around you like you're just there and you're not really sure why and what's going on. You want to be like, hey, how are you? Hey, what's going on? I like your boots, I gotta have the welcoming, Three.
Three.
Your truck's bigger than my truck.
It's bigger than everyone.
Yeah, I say the same thing, just making the younger generations feel included and just feel included.
Is Heather Dutton in the room? Heather, hi Heather. And how about Amber Weber? Is Amber here? Nathan Combs? Yeah, well, I was just, for the round table, I think you need to have a youth presentation for the round table. Yeah, so I think you need to invite them, and have them there. So that'd be good. Oh, sorry. Sure.
People online can't hear you, so we're going to have you use the mic.
I'm an old fart. I've been around a long time. And my generation has a tendency to be very bossy. And we tell you kids what you're supposed to do. Ignore it. Put us in our place. You are the next generation. You are the people who are taking over. We don't count as much. It's your world. You tell us what you need to do, please.
Wow, how do I follow that up, right? Zach, did you have something to say?
I mean, I don't want to overstep any boundaries. I respect my elders, but I'll definitely, when push comes to shove, you got to step in and make the right call. So, yeah, I appreciate that you're saying that.
Is there anybody else that has questions for the group while we have them here? Nope, on.
farmer ranch in your life? How many of you three expect to own a farmer ranch in your life? 3 of you.
All three.
Work hard, get there. You can do it.
Thank you.
Yeah, and with, there's a lot of different opportunities now that you don't have to go the traditional path. I mean, you were talking about conservation easements, are away, because that transition into agriculture can be pretty expensive. Anybody else with other questions, comments for the group? Well, we really appreciate you guys. Any last comments in closing? What message would you like to tell us? Yeah. Oh, sure. What, Sheldon? Yep.
You're gonna be sitting in your seat.
I know. So Sheldon just said that they were going to be sitting in my seat. You're right. Yep. And that's what we need. Or yours, Sheldon. Yeah. So that you guys do need to be sitting in our seats. Sure.
I do want to end also with a question for you guys on what can we do to support you then? I mean, Pat asked a really good question and said you're going to have to work hard, but what can we do? And, I would like to know as, someone who works in government, like what can we do to make your lives a little easier as you move into that?
I would say working with people that I need to work with on the daily is probably one of my biggest issues, and it is for our family's operation too. Like your insurance agent who has no idea anything about what's going on. It is super, super difficult to work with people that really don't know what's happening. Like you'd be like, yeah, well, you know what? Something happened with the cow this morning and now my headlight is missing. And then they're just like, and it's like, you can't, it's like, and so I guess maybe helping open up the people that are working outside of agriculture that are playing an aspect that we have to follow in agriculture, maybe helping them be a little more educated in what's actually going on. Yeah?
I guess what y'all can do to help us, because it's the future with market instability, things can look very concerning and can be almost frightening at times looking into it. Like, how am I going to start that first year, farming, ranching, and you're getting through it. So being connected with ag members in the community, including me in programs that they have for, starting out young, getting low interest loans on land and, finding the right equipment for you, as well as, mental and health awareness, because the stress that comes with agriculture, you go for strenuous long hours, and having mental health support is crucial to manage stress, and do what you can for your fellow neighbor. If your neighbor's going up for a Farm Bureau meeting up in Denver, policy meeting, or they have family emergency and they're coming out of town, what can you do for your neighbor? Can you help them run their cows? Their operations best. You can help them feed cows for a day, or, turn a pivot circle on, help that.
Like Zach said, basically just helping and supporting not only the young adults, but everyone who is involved, but basically just being supportive and having those intentions of knowing that we could be successful.
I've got a little bit more. Give us advice. Tell us your experiences, what you know, what you think. Maybe that's how I make it through doing what I do in the daily, is I listen to my people. I don't get on my phone and I'm like, I want to know what this is about. I'll be like, hey, man. And then maybe I'll ask a couple more people. So be open to share your experiences and stuff with us, because that's me, that's what I go off of for making my operation operate. And stay kind is a main part of it, and be willing to help. Kind of what they were saying there, you drive by on the road and you see just one guy out there running across the field trying to head those cows off. Man, maybe get out there and go help him. That kind of stuff really means a lot to somebody. And if anybody is ever feeling just a little good, you could always come help me fix fence.
Let's give these guys a great round of applause.
This was a great panel. I wasn't sure exactly how it was going to go, but it certainly exceeded my expectations. So, and excuse me, I just want to note, and I said this earlier, but Stefanie here, I'm going to put her on the spot just a little bit and embarrass her, but Stefanie has been working with me at the center as a project assistant, helping plan this event. And that question about how do you get younger people involved? Well, part of it is through money. And I was able to get a grant through the Outcult Foundation here in the Valley. Many of you are familiar with that. And that's paying for Stefanie to be involved in this sort of thing. I don't know that she necessarily would have found herself on a Saturday, but I said, hey, Stefanie, I need your help on Saturday. And I'm hoping she and others are taking something away from that. So I think it's that financial contributions, but just general interest in helping, reaching out, and recognizing that there's great energy. Obviously, we saw that enthusiasm, that passion, but they need to be given an opportunity. And I think here in this room have the ability through our connections, knowledge, expertise, et cetera, to do that. So thank you again to that panel.